Hi, everyone. I'm Corey Ross, Head of Marketing at Shima Capital, an early stage VC firm investing in all things Web3. And we're going to talk to Igor Mikolev, CEO of Blueshift, one of Shima's portfolio projects. Blueshift is a cross-chain DEX based on a unique portfolio management approach.
Hi, everybody. It's Igor Mikolev here from rainy Amsterdam. Happy to be here.
Same here. So in the first part of our conversation, we'll learn a bit more about Blueshift, and then we'll move on to market trends and talk about what it takes for DeFi projects and VCs to survive the crypto winter. So first question, Igor, what is your crypto background?
Yeah, so I'm in crypto for over 7 years. A couple years ago, I've been responsible for the crypto division, crypto topic at the Boston Consulting Group, BCG, where I've been also working for Charles Hoskinson in capacity of project leader there. I got to know Cardano's team pretty closely, and in my own time at some point have decided to found and build Blueshift, which is a decentralized portfolio tech-based exchange. Right, but next to that, currently I'm also working for EY, so EY Parthenon in the capacity of partner in emerging technologies and digital ecosystem strategy, where I help companies big and small to transform towards decentralized business models and become more Web3 native.
Wonderful. So how did the team form, and what's the story behind Blueshift as a collection of people?
Yeah, absolutely. So through the years, together with the team involved in Blueshift, we've been building things like CBDC tracker, so central bank digital currencies tracker, which is the #1 in the world source for fresh data on CBDCs. We've been working on DAO polls, which is a similar type of approach, but specifically for tracking quality of decentralized autonomous organizations. We've done different types of work for commercial banks as well, for traditional incumbents in the space trying to go Web3 native. So that this combined with my interest in Cardano, which I mentioned, after having worked with them and understood the ethics behind Cardano, at some point I sat down with one of my friends from MIT that joined San Francisco-based community of people excited about fair launches. We thought, hey, let's combine all of that, so Cardano, fair launch ideology, and our desire to build a new tech for DEXs, a tech that doesn't necessarily base itself on a portfolio, on a pair-based approach, but introduces portfolio-based approach. So we put it all together, and that's how the first generation of Blueshift was born around 2.5 years ago. And we as a team came around it because we really liked the deep technological and deep scientific aspects of our work.
Great. And what exactly makes Blueshift unique?
Yeah, so what makes Blueshift unique is the same notion as what made interesting and revolutionary the approach around indexes in traditional stock investing, right? So you have different types of automatically tracked funds, which have different stocks added and removed based on different types of metrics. Same approach pursue for Blueshift, where you as an investor, you don't invest in one particular token, but you invest in a bucket or portfolio of tokens, which we will have carefully crafted for you, right, through our DAO, basically. And that's what makes it very different. And once several tokens exist in a certain portfolio, fragmentation itself goes down as well, because you don't need to anymore have different pairs containing the same token. You have a portfolio that contains all of them, and you can trade against the aggregate liquidity, which reduces slippage, which reduces permanent loss, and adds towards the efficiency of that liquidity. So that's what makes it unique.
Wonderful. And is there any more you can tell us about how portfolios work?
Yeah, sure. So portfolios work on the basis of internal oracles that help to mitigate price fluctuations, and also portfolios currently work on the basis of cross-chain exposure. So again, once you have staked multiple tokens inside one portfolio, you as an investor can choose to hold it this way. You can withdraw only one. You can add only one exactly after that. And once it's exposed by towards multiple blockchains, like we have now the deployment on Algorand as well, you can trade between chains without the need for bridging all the time, right? And then you can use aggregate liquidity with multiple chains to actually perform that types of swap or trading or investing, which again raises capital efficiency and makes it a new standard in terms of the usability. So that's the core of the portfolio tech.
Wonderful. And what is the latest portfolio that Blueshift launched, and how was it formed?
Yeah, so the latest portfolio we launched is so-called Cardano Index. This is a major milestone for Blueshift because it's the first major index for blockchain ecosystem that we have launched. So it sort of acts as a performance indicator for the overall Cardano ecosystem and gives you cross-chain exposure to various projects. So we have carefully crafted the composition of that portfolio by talking to Cardano's ecosystem. So we have some of the best projects in there, some of the most exciting ones, such as VY Finance, NMKR, Cardinal Copias. So all of them are there, and they have launched their presence on our DEX just recently. And once again, this also, together with the cross-chain capability that we have added recently, provides you as a Cardano investor exposure towards Algorand and vice versa. So you as an Algorand investor, as a native Algorand user, can also get exposure to Cardano native assets, which is a strong, let's say, answer towards the promise of Web3, which is connecting all the various disconnected bits.
Thank you. So now that we've learned about Blueshift, let's move to the second part of the conversation and talk a bit more about the market. So what should a DeFi project do to navigate successfully through the crypto winter?
Yeah, so I think many projects are going through this soul-searching phase currently. I think the number one is to understand how exactly you provide tangible utility to the users. So what exactly is that core unique utility that makes your protocol useful, right? As opposed to just a pure speculation game. So I think that's number one in this kind of market downturn. So therefore, sometimes it means redefining priorities. It is, of course, optimizing your budget because you need to survive through the winter. You need to develop features that users find useful. You need to make sure that you are well connected with the rest of the DeFi building blocks. So to say, you need to explore new ecosystems because constantly new ecosystems pop up and you need to know what your play is in those ecosystems. And surely you need to leverage partnerships as you work in those new ecosystems. So there's a lot of more active work with regards to community building and building features that are exactly useful and have clear utility for the end user.
And what exactly is Blueshift doing during the crypto winter?
Yeah, so we have doubled down on our cross-chain protocol, and in less than a month, it will be complete and allow for what I was explaining with cross-chain liquidity swaps. So, right, without the need for bridging, you'll be able to swap between various chains, assuming a token is in a certain portfolio on Blueshift. And also, you'll be able to use aggregate liquidity from both chains to be available for swaps. Right? So again, it thereby reduces liquidity fragmentation, it reduces slippage, and such cross-chain swaps are possible without bridging. So it's a completely new level with regards to capital efficiency and cross-chain user experience. Right, and then of course next to that, we also, well, since adding other chains in case of Blueshift is clearly synergistic because of this aggregate liquidity idea. So we are expanding to other chains. We have just done Algorand together with Milkomida, and we right now are working on deployment to Kava. And of course, eventually we will also connect to the core L1s as well.
Wonderful. Are there any questions you wanted to throw my way?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it would be interesting to know which trends do you see in your portfolio projects during crypto winter yourself? What is there that now distinctively different from the previous time?
Sure. Yeah. So right now, I'd say one of the biggest trends that we're currently seeing with our portfolios is when possible, that they're holding off on token launches. So no TGEs at this moment until there's a little bit more clarity, a little bit more stability in the market. So hopefully regroup there in the spring and see how that goes. And then on the gaming side, Shima Capital has a fair number of gaming companies in its portfolio. It's pretty much business as usual, and because it's basically always a good time to play video games.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you adapt to new market conditions in terms of having enough liquidity, in terms of maybe raising new capital?
Sure, yeah. Right now, although Shima Capital is relatively new in the grand scheme, a lot of us have been in the space for a while, like yourself, and survived the last crypto winter a few years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And one of the biggest lessons from that time, if you remember, is that during bear markets, this is when successful projects are born. So as long as it's financially responsible, now's the time to be building the next big success story in crypto. And that's what VCs are still looking for, even during the tougher times.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, just to keep it going, considering your deep involvement in the crypto market and as the head of emerging technologies at UI Parthenon, which scenarios do you see for the crypto market's development?
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked about scenarios because hopefully nowadays it's clear for everybody that there is no like one size fits all pathway or single future answer towards that. So we've done a bit of analysis and we think that there are key critical uncertainties around the future scenarios before we go into scenarios. And those uncertainties are, first of all, the regulatory response. So how exactly crypto industry will be regulated. So after the issues with FTX, after what happened with all the hacks and different issues with the protocol liquidity being drained very quickly, that hurt investors. So what exactly would be the regulatory response? Right? Will it be crypto native? Will it be very restrictive? So that basically is a big uncertainty in there. Next one I would say is the performance and scalability promise of blockchain-based ecosystems. Will that be enough resolved for blockchain-based ecosystems to serve, for example, payments-based use cases or central bank digital currency use cases? Next one is surely for me the hegemony of national currencies. Will it prevail or will people start doubting national currencies and maybe USD, Euro, Pound and so forth will be all volatile and shaky and people will stop using them for store of value types of use cases? And the last one for me is the geopolitical conflicts and pandemics. So will there be more of that or not? Because during the time of conflicts and big issues like pandemics, people feel more, shall we say, empowered to use gray zone types of means of payment or means of value storage. So I think on the basis of those scenarios, we will have various types of futures. So one of them can be explosive adoption of crypto in case regulation will be favorable, but there will be a lot of instability in the world. Well, in this case, surely, especially if technology allows and performance scalability issues are solved, explosive adoption is almost guaranteed. But on the contrary, in case regulation will be restrictive, world will be super stable, technology will not deliver to its promise, scalability will still be an issue, well, then there is a bit of a demise of decentralization type of future that I can envision. Somewhere in between, there can be a slow burn, it can be a bit of a gray market type of scenario as well. It can also be, in case the regulation will not be decisive, but performance scalability issues will be resolved, that banks and payment companies would simply use technology to boost the new innovation cycle in financial services industry. I can also see a future like that. So that probably is enough in terms of potential futures. As you see, it's based on core, I think at least 4 uncertainties that I mentioned.
Really great answer. Thanks a lot. And thanks, Igor, for your time. That's all the questions that we have right now in the first Shima Blueshift Fireside chat. This was really great.
Yeah. My pleasure. Thanks very much, Corey, for having me.